What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode Leading Crypto. We're taking a look at Ethereum here. I'm just getting set up on TikTok, I think. How we doing, everybody? I see Dennis Bro, T-Bone, Twin, Scorch always tuning in. Let's see if we can get this linked up a little better here. Oh, yeah. There it is. All right, let's go. All right, if you guys want some poor quality, you can tune in to TikTok. Otherwise, you can jump over to YouTube if you'd like to see it crystal clear. Either way, you should be able to get the same content. Just depends on where your viewing pleasure depends to be. So, yeah, so, my last update here was Tuesday night. We had, I don't know what I got, some crazy cough, sore throat issue going on. And we had a really nice update on Tuesday night, right? As we were looking at the monthly open, monthly pivot, things of that nature as we came into March, right? So that was right in this region, 1604, 1603 in that window there. That was also our overall, our previous month value area low. We had a previous week value area low coming in there as well. And a lot of support right there at the monthly open with the monthly pivot and things of that nature. So losing that region was a little bit of a red flag. However, that was, a decent area for a stop loss in the sense for a drawdown, right? If you were looking for any more upside at the moment. And looking at the price action now, you can see that we've come down. We've taken our previous low, right? So 1557, which if you bring up the previous week, I'm trying to line this up really nicely over here for everybody here. Just going to drag over this gold pocket and make that a little easier. There we go. All right, so gold pocket here I've had, brought up for quite a while. This is from the overall low to high from, is that December? It's actually November. November low to current high here comes down to that 1359. That's the previous, thank you for the follow, JVM Kitchen Design. That's for the previous quarterly value area high. That's our gold pocket. That's essentially where a lot of our, drag this over here, a lot of our support actually lines up here. If you look, basically just look left here. So some pretty decent confluence around that region if we essentially lose the previous monthly pivot here at 1482. But the current area that we're at right now is very interesting and something to not overlook. As many of you know, we look at the previous week range, right? So, and when you look at the previous week data, you can see how things are kind of stacked up right here, right? So not only did we rotate the range in full, right? So we talked about this the other night as well. I'd like to say there was somebody trying to short like 1630 the other night, Tuesday when we were live, right? I think it was around this region, which not necessarily, the worst idea as long as you had a stop loss, but essentially, we basically bounced right off the value area low, our monthly open, our monthly pivot, right in this region, right? So this was Tuesday. And we rotated the range all the way in full, right, to the overall value area high. And until this range breaks, obviously you have to treat it as such. And from here, got a nice rotation right back to the low. We broke the range low here, monthly open, monthly pivot. And where's your next target? Well, it's going to be your previous week low, which we essentially just swept. So zooming into a little 15-minute candle here, you can see that we've essentially come down really nicely, taking that low, starting to close back above it, looking for the reclaim, so a potential back test, of that 1556 region. And if we do hold this area, I would imagine that we at least take it back up to the $1,600 area, potentially get a back test here, at least. Definitely a short-term target for anyone looking to, potentially trade this move to the upside. Otherwise, when you see something like this, and you're looking at the overall price action, we've had pretty much a solid range, right? I mean, like you're talking over the course of almost 2 months now, right? So since the 14th of January, we've relatively been within the same, let's see here, aside from the little dip here, but even we'll count it 1460. So within the same $300 window, which is pretty big, honestly, when you think about it, for Ethereum. This is probably a good 15% range, 20%. So I mean, it's a big window to be involved in. Sorry, I'm trying to zoom that in there. There we go. The old TikTok crew. Let's see. It tells me to swipe over. There we go. Nice. See some big comments. Okay, so we've been in this, $300, 20% range for, essentially almost 2 months going into it. So we've had some really nice short-term plays along the way here. Not just currently, as we basically just rotated our previous week range, took out the previous week low. When we see things of this nature, generally we're going to run it back, right? I mean, this is this is almost as textbook as taking the highs right before you take you start making the way down. We've essentially just took the previous low. It's previous week low as well. Obviously, it's not our overall low at the moment, so it is something more so to be considered with a potential short-term trade. Maybe we just get a bounce back up to that $1,600 region, we get the rejection, and we continue lower. But the potential is there now for a pretty decent move back up to even come up and take the previous week high. So that is something I'm looking for personally. One of the best trades is definitely when you come down and you take the previous week low, or you take the previous week high and you just run it the opposite way. So we have done that so far. Looking for the potential back test of about 1556. I'm sorry, 1556. And then we'll see if we run this back up a bit, potentially higher than that, right? Overall target to the upside, if we do just break this overall area that we've been in, still remains the yearly pivot, 1989. How are we doing? Where do you see Ethereum 1 to 3 years long term? Keep averaging in. I mean, that's we're more than likely going to continue higher over in years as we go through. So I would imagine that we at least 2x the previous high over the next couple of years here as things progress. Let's see what we got over here. Nick Sells, what you doing? Big candle. Scorch always be killing the green mambas, for sure. Crypto fan Chris, always appreciate you, sir. Yeah, so big area to reclaim. Obviously, turning around here would be that monthly open. We got our monthly pivot right here as well. Not even really worth bringing up. It's essentially within a few dollars here. That is also, like I said, getting back in essentially to February range, right? You'd want to see something like this occur where you come up, reclaim that region, and then we take it back to the upside here, potentially all the way to 1712, clear that region, and then its major target comes up to 1989 short term. Not to say that that's the end all be all target. That's just a target. If we get things going here, other than that, monthly pivot below us, gold pocket, things really do remain the same. The one big key thing I wanted to bring up tonight though was that you just took the previous week low, right? So that is pretty indicative, in my opinion, and especially if we hold it, which you can see even on a 4-hour time frame, which closes in 2.5 minutes. Sorry, 2.5 minutes. This would effectively be a 4-hour swing failure pattern at that point, right? So we would come down, we would take the low, you close back above the level. From here, in my opinion, it's an easy trade right back up 3%. You're gonna at least turn this around back to the previous week val, aka the February val, aka the monthly open, aka the monthly pivot. Clear stop loss just below the low here, and yeah, I mean that's definitely something that's on the docket. And then from there, we'll see if we get breach back into this region and start claiming these areas. But of the two options here, right, where if we were rooting around in this region, let's just, let's just cut this up a little bit. All right, before we got this nasty candle here, not really super nasty. I mean, it's only a few percent, but it's enough to wreck everybody's day. I'm trying to get this all in the same screen here. When you're looking at the price action, right, and you got, obviously we got a local low, we've got an overall low here, potentially before we, make our way any lower. And then we've got some recent highs. When you see the price action come up, right, and then close right back below, we've seen it time and time again. This was a really good example of it right here. Zoom in a little bit. Right, this was our November high, if you remember, right? So right here, I'm sorry, a little bit below that, but November high, essentially, you ran it up, took the highs, closed back below, back test, down we go, right? So you come up and you trap everybody in this region, breakout traders, anything of that nature. Anyone looking to see, the price action come up and take the highs and prematurely buy in before they get to see the retest. And then you get these, drawdowns to the downside. Also, what this does is that anyone that's been shorting realistically in this whole region, right, where they're going to put their stop loss, well, probably right above the recent high, they're going to get stopped out right before the actual move takes place. And that's probably more so the idea here. And, if you watched this morning's update, so in the morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, Magic Internet Money on his channel, him and Max, who are both in the Leading Crypto Discord group, they host a 10 a.m. Bitcoin update, and they basically covered the idea of essentially this, right, where we would come down and take the lows. So it was a really nice update there. Of the two, realistically, I would prefer the scenario we're, slightly taking place right now. Doesn't mean we're just going to shoot up from here, not necessarily, but it's definitely leaning a little bit more towards upside at the moment, because what did we just do, right? When you're looking at the price action, we essentially just came down. You're taking out anybody that's going long in this region is going to more than likely have a stop loss right below here. Not only that, like I said, you're talking about the entire week of last week. So, day in and day out, people are entering trades, and you got to think about the psychology of that. So for the entire last week, and now this is Thursday, so you're talking from Sunday to Sunday, so 10, 11 days from, ago and throughout. Anyone entering trades looking to take this higher, they just basically probably got stopped out. The next major area is going to obviously be just below this, but this is a pretty big gap for anybody with some high leverage. That's 6% away from even the current low. You have to imagine that most people that entered anything in this region stop loss right here. So they just got stopped out. So what does that generally lead to? Well, then you start stacking your confluences. So not only now that we take the low, right? So I'll exit out of this. Boom. So now we've got to this region. You've taken the low. You've got a 4-hour swing failure pattern now, basically underway. Just closed out. So let's pull up the previous week one more time. Boom. So previous week, I can't really see with this thing right here. There we go. Previous week low, pretty big deal, right? Just as the high is, right? Just similar to a monthly low, similar to a quarterly low. Like these are pretty big lows to start, really paying attention to. Obviously, a weekly versus a monthly or quarterly is going to hold a little bit more credence. But you can see we've got a pretty clear. I mean, that's as clear as you're going to get right there on a 4-hour time frame. We just took the low, we closed back above the level. Easy trade, in my opinion. We're going to at least go back up to 1600 is the idea, and stop loss just below here, right? So everyone that's looking for higher just got anybody entering in this region just got stopped out. They're going to be forced to re-enter at this level. On top of that, you've got excuse me. we've got some pretty decent areas above us though. So I mean, this is not something to take lightly just to come back up and expect that we'll just blow right through here, because now we got some pretty decent resistance above us. You got previous week, previous month, uh, overall range lows, monthly open, monthly pivot, all stacked right here at this $1,600 region. So to come up here for a little short-term trade, I think is very likely the case. From there, you'd want to see if we actually get back into this region, right, and do one of these deals. You get back in, get the reclaim. Very simple level to reclaim from, in my opinion, is going to be 1605. From there, see if we take it up. Obviously, we've already rotated the range in full. You got a couple of pit stops along the way, but more than likely we'd be at least running it back up to potential previous week high, overall high at that point too, 1750. We got 1780 mapped out up here, which we've been on about for a bit. I've been looking at previous quarters. This is your quarter three overall value area high. You can also see where we actually came down and swept was the EQ of the quarter three range as well. In my opinion, more so that previous week is going to hold a lot of credence more than anything. But interesting to note. Yeah, with 1780 still remains a pretty major area to the upside. Obviously, it's going to come up and take the highs at that point. We'll see how things look at when we get there. And then, like I said, overall target, currently still remains 1989. And then when we get there, we'll reevaluate, see how things look. Thirsty Thursday. There you go. All right, let's see what we got here on YouTube real quick. Never thought I'd see the day where there'd be more viewers on YouTube than TikTok. But I love it. Either way. Yeah, so what else were we going to go over here for ETH? I think that's about as clear as you're going to get. I mean, right now, like I said, FP is going to hold. That's going to hold some value for today. Got a really, really nice, run back to actually the $1,600 level. Otherwise, start losing this region. You got the previous monthly pivot. You got the gold pocket that we talked about, and yeah, those levels have been pretty clearly mapped out for a while. Let's see, Q4, right? So that gold pocket comes in right at the high. Obviously, a lot of support right there as well. Personally, I just don't know if we're going to get there. I feel like, and this is just what I feel, so that could mean fuck all at the end of the day. But I think that a lot of people are very, very much trying to short. And when I say that, there's nothing wrong with that by any means. But I think that when you get to these positions, for example, what we just saw just for Ethereum, I know that Bitcoin's got a CME gap that's got a lot of attention. In my opinion, this was a really beautiful short trade on Ethereum, and the short was basically value area high. Obviously, you got targets to the downside. Easy targets would have been back to your monthly open, monthly pivot, previous week val, February val. After that, major target becomes your previous week low. Once you see this, though, where we did literally the most ideal situation, take the low, close back above. This is very indicative that we're going to run it back. So whether or not we continue crazily higher from here, or we just run it back to the highs, a lot of times you'll see anybody that's in short positions not take profit for both Ethereum or Bitcoin, right? Even if they're in profit at this point, they're going to be holding for lower. And we might get there. Don't get me wrong. I mean, like I said, nobody knows where the price is going to go. We're just going to react to the levels as we take them. But to me, at this point, like it would make sense to at least run it back and potentially go to the previous week high. Obviously, we would knock all this out as far as anybody entering shorts here, which, like I said, was a pretty beautiful short. If you did actually take it at 1680, not 1630. And I'm not dogging on anybody or anything. Like I said, it just the other day, like I'm just interested also like for when people take certain positions, what the strategy is, because might work, might not. Where's the stop loss, what have you. Um, but at the time when we bounced basically off this region, it was more probable that we were going to at least rotate the range, potentially break it, right? Like that was also something to be looking for. And that really does come down to what it is all about, is that you have to be open to the fact that the price is going to do what the price is going to do, and you have to, remain neutral about that. If you're entering this position short term, this is all short term trades, obviously, everybody, but that was a 5% move, and whether that's with or without leverage, that's a really good couple days, right? People go years in the or a year in the stock market for 10%. So obviously you wouldn't be putting your whole portfolio in the short term day trade or swing trade, but it's a very nice move. And at the end of the day, what do? We end up giving it all back up and then some. And that's really what it's about. You obviously want to have your mid to long term holds, your portfolio as a whole. And then if you're going to be looking to take some of these shorter term positions, you just can't get greedy. You really do have to identify these regions and take the wins, right? So 5% to the upside, like I said, with or without leverage, was beautiful. Anybody that got that or took it, properly, if they were just holding it, assuming we had to go straight up, all the way from there, it ends up coming back, right? So Max in the group, he's always says, he doesn't like to be in the market that long, right? Obviously, he's got a different strategy. He's way more short-term day trade more than anything. Obviously, he's got his long-term holds as well, but he makes a really good point on the longer you're in the market, you're at risk to, basically give everything back up. And these moves are a perfect example of that. Like, you could have been holding this from Tuesday long, right? It's been 2 whole days. You've been stressing if you entered, and you're, checking your trade every single moment, every single second. If you're not taking profit along the way, if you don't have that strategy at certain areas, if you don't have a stop loss in place, or even if you do, more than likely you just got stopped out. And it's to look back 2 days ago and know that you could have been sitting pretty at 5% times whatever leverage if you were using it, or just 5%. So random rant of the night. Sorry, get into those schematics here. What do I think will happen? You think it will go up? I'm still looking for higher. If I'm being honest, I think that everyone is very well versed in the market dropping a lot more. And if we do that, then like I said, like it just comes down to, I can think whatever. The term "think" is the worst, right? That's one thing I've come to know. So it really does come down to just alerting yourself of certain regions, identifying where you want to shift that idea a bit. For me at the moment, it's going to be really losing that previous week low and start closing below. At that point, I would imagine we're at least going to come down and take this low. That's a pretty big drop. I mean, that's another 5, 6, 7% you're talking. So I mean, that's not something to take too lightly, obviously, across the board. The rest of the market would probably see a 10, 12% drop as well. But like I said, right now the setup is there. We just took the low. We closed back above. Swing failure pattern, one like textbook at this point. So from here, I would at least imagine we're going to at least see 1,600 potentially today. There's a daily open today too. Let's take a look. That is not it. Damn. So yeah, our daily open is all the way back up at the previous week point of control. So that's another major target. Now doubled up on confluence. So yeah, I mean, potentially, I would say that within today, we probably at least get up to 1,600. And then if not, we're going to probably see back to 1,646 once again within the next 24 hours. So that's the thought, at least at the moment with this current setup. Obviously, like I said, stop loss below low. And we'll see how things progress. I would imagine we at least run it back. So if when looking for longs, um, we've obviously rallied up substantially and things of that nature. And so it's definitely higher risk at the moment, regardless, because we've seen a 60% impulse to the upside. But for me, I look for intraday moves, daily moves, and this time of the night is ideal because you get the new day information at 7 p.m. Eastern. So just happened a few hours ago, and like I said, I mean this is personally I'm long, right? I took the long right off the low, previous week low. I was in a long from the previous monthly open. I took profits here at the previous week value area high. I didn't get fully out, so I will admit I got 50% out. I moved stop loss up, and I got stopped out on that. But that's the name of the game, right? So, but now long again, right? So nice stop loss, just below the low. So whether or not it moves, gets that move up or not, we'll see. For me, a nice take. I mean, you have to take profit at 1600 if we get up there. There's just too much here to not at least pay yourself a little. After that, you're talking about daily open, previous week point of control back to 1646. Obviously, you got the previous week value area high after that. And then I'd be gunning for the week high, and then realistically, I'd be looking to blow through this region if we get back up to that area. With that being said, obviously, see if we come up and take the highs and start closing below. We've done that so many times, though. I would be really shocked, and not shocked, I suppose, but it would be interesting if we came all the way back up to this region just to swing the highs one more time before you come down. Not saying it can't happen, but either way, a really nice setup from where we are right now. So I will say that there's not many times when on a live stream you can say this is a great setup at this exact moment. So take that for what it's worth. This is Bybit. For the person that asked, this is Binance USDT. This is Bybit USDT. Yeah. We wanted to go all the way to 1550. 50. I mean, it was at 1520 like an hour ago. So 15. I mean, it very well could. I would imagine we're going to come back down to 1555 at some point and kind of retap that low again. Fun to degen. Fungin. It's always fun to read the YouTube chats. Just hit off the YouTube chads. Okay, sorry. Had to re-up there. Let's take a look and see what else we got moving around today. Is there any requests? Pull up. There we go. Can we check GRT Luna Classic? Phantom. That was quick. Luna Classic. The only reason I'm going to pull this up is because I'm interested to see. I pulled one range on Luna Classic, like when it first came up, when it first came out. So I'm interested to see what it looks like. Front ran by just a bit. So this is Luna Classic. Let's see what we got here. So I'm trying to get this all in the same area here. All right. So Luna Classic. Still really holding like pretty true range just from June last year. I got the I'm gonna delete this and pull up a new one. All right, so I'll scoot this over a bit. Got your link, your lunch. Really held down by this monthly pivot. I mean, this was all you needed, obviously. Yeah, I pulled just two things on this, and it's held pretty well. This has obviously been tapped, by the way. I thought this was untapped, but not thought it was untapped when I put it on here. But we're gonna switch it up. There. Let's just get a good idea here where the yearly. All right, so yearly pivot comes in quite a bit up from where we are. All right, so current price is 1,000,000 zeros and 1 5, and then, geez, yeah, this comes in like 70% higher. Let's just see local gold pocket where that lines up, basically at the range high. So, I mean, Luna Classic. I mean, it's something I wouldn't necessarily be jumping in out of heavily unless you're just like throwing some low liquidity into it, but probably coming back down to the point of control at some point here, which is like 30% from where we are. Um, Still remains the highest area of volume, even though we had all this price action. You got this, region back here, very similar to anything else, right? Once you breach that range, you come back in, you get the back test. Your natural target over time is going to be that point of control. So, very close. Made our way down to it a couple times, but you've come down to the lows recently. Haven't really taken them. So I would imagine that that's pretty much still on the docket there. Otherwise, challenging up to basically I can't even say with 5 zeros 2 6. Then you got that gold pocket we were just looking at, value area high. Yeah, that's what I'd be looking at, I guess, in that scenario. Somebody brought up GRT, Phantom as well. Let's take a look. Oh, Phantom, I didn't update it yet. I was going to update Phantom the other day from our last update, but pretty much comes, right back down to some areas we were looking at. So had a big gold pocket here. There's actually to the upside. So now we're coming back down to back test. So there's a daily level there as well. I'm actually curious. Let's just see. Yeah. So point of control actually lines up with the current low to high gold pocket down here, like 35 cents. You are back in the range as well, right? So obviously deviated, came back in. Overall target is going to be this region. This is also where I just pulled, like I said, that current gold pocket. If you're looking at it, I'm just going to knock this one off. And let's just highlight this little region. It's where I'd be looking for personally for any more downside. I mean, you are bouncing off support, so keep that in mind. Did just take the lows as well. But yeah, this is 35 cents. So I mean, you're at 40. Thing is, looking at ETH, right? Expecting a potential, pull up. I guess that's a term. Potential bounce on ETH. You could see the same thing at a Phantom as well. Back to the range high about 45 cents. That's like obviously a 10, 12% move. This is no longer untapped. Just going to take that off. For S and Gs, let's just take a look at where the yearly is. Oh, I already had it up there. So one major target for Phantom soon to be is up at, I'll just say, this region. It's a previous range, value area low. I can't tell if you can see that, but you'll just trust me on that. Yeah, you got the previous range value area low. You got a 3-month, so a quarterly level here, and then you got the yearly pivot up at 125. Excuse me. This would be pretty substantial, obviously, from where we are, about a 200% rally. So in the sense of a spot buy and hold, you take that for what it's worth. So, potentially we go down 35 cents right now, or we bounce from where we are, right? So it's like, that 10% little window. But I would imagine we're going to see, potentially that 120 or 125 over the next couple of weeks to months here. GRT. Woof. Easy range. I haven't updated this in a little bit as well. All these are available, by the way, in the Leading Crypto Discord server. In my CBO updates area. When I say I haven't updated, it's just like, I posted these, obviously I had the targets here. Just haven't gone through and, tagged and taken out some of these. So we'll do it here together. So, that one actually still remains untapped. Big target above us here. We had a really nice run, very, very, very close. Let's see here. Let's throw on the yearly real quick. Yearly comes in just above it. So this range is still very much in play, in my opinion. If we get a decent move out of, if we get another leg up out of Bitcoin and ETH, which, like I said, to me, obviously yet to be seen. Personally, I think I would lean that way, that we'd probably see a little, potentially a lot more upside, depending on how things go, obviously pullbacks included. But for GRT, let's just, separate entity here. You got obviously the point of control here. We've been looking at, you got the untapped quarterly, untapped yearly, and your overall value area high comes in pretty substantially close to each other. You got a macro. This actually can be updated a little bit, drags down a little. Pretty prize gold pocket after that, right? So if you were to see something, you just shoot right through. This would be a big region to look for, that 37 cents. And then after that, we'd be looking back to old ranges. So short term, I'm looking at least 28 to 30, 28 to 37 cents for more upside. From where we are right now, obviously that's a pretty decent move. That's about 100%. Take a look at Solana. Crypto Rican Queen. If you're in here, hello. We'll take a look at Solana, yes. T-Bone says Near has had 6 in range rotations of developing quarterly. Uniswap. Yeah, we'll take a look at Uniswap. I'm actually going to build out a new sushi swap chart for one of the members tonight. All right, what did I say? Solana, potentially Near, and Uniswap. On TikTok, by the way, obviously nobody has said anything, but is this like schematic look okay? Schematic. I don't know if that's the right word. Format. The format look okay. I know on YouTube it actually is looks pretty good. I got it jerry rigged at the moment. All right, let's take a look at Solana daily time frame there. Are we longing ETH right now? I am. GRTAI, yes, fine. Reduce my monthly payment. What do you suggest? What's your monthly payment right now? All right. Solana's been a real fun one. Just take off this. So walking into the year, had a really, I mean, probably one of the most glorious range rotations out there for the end of, not the end of the year, end of the quarter more than anything. Obviously, it was the end of the year, but we had the Q4 range, which is what you see highlighted here, right? So boxed off, bottom, obviously low to high. Bounce right off it is where you got this 804. Along the way, I've taken them off now, but we had a slew of untapped pivots, right? So these are high statistical targets, weeklies, monthlies, quarterlies, all you name it. We had so just, I mean, because you can imagine when you just take a drop like this, you're going to leave some things behind. So we had a really good, area to, be concerned with here. You had a really clear area for invalidations as far as a stop loss would go, and you had some easy targets. So several, like I said, pivots along the way. Range rotation was a big one, and from there, where we at, right? So obviously, we rotated the whole range. This was a 192% range itself. Obviously, the price action moved 220, and you're kind of living between, or we were living in between these two areas here. So we were branching out, and you can see we were hitting our head on the next range above us. Obviously, we came back in. We had an untapped monthly pivot down here at $20, which we came back down and met. Once. Back up to the value area low, back into the range. So theoretically, let's just throw on something here real quick. Interesting. Okay. So theoretically, once we re-enter the range, obviously, you have to anticipate move back down to your point of control. We do have the gold pocket from the overall low, from the $8 low all the way to the $27 high. Comes in just above that as well. So something to just kind of keep note of. Obviously, this would be pretty big bounce territory if we get there. Question is are we going to get there? Where we are right now, we're sitting on monthly pivot. Once again, it's also important to look at Ethereum, Bitcoin. So for Ethereum, personally, I'm at least expecting a little short-term bounce here. So we'll see how things play out. So I wouldn't imagine that the rest of the market is going to just melt down if ETH is pushing up. Obviously, we have to see it. But for Solana, I do want to point out a few things as far as this is taking it away from now like a trade, like a day trade, midterm trade. This is a holding idea, and it's obviously comes down to whatever your system is and your strategy and your risk and blah blah blah. But once again, when we're looking at statistical targets, which we look at averages of price heavily, so monthly, this is the monthly average of price. This is the quarterly average of price. This is 3 months of price action averaged into one. You have yearly averages, so on and so forth, right? The price tends to revert back to those averages, right? The mean reversions is what a lot of people will, refer to that as, or at least courtesy of our boy Crown, right? For the yearly pivot, which is one of the biggest things at Magic, all credit to Magic Internet Money. other analysts in the group, major creator here on TikTok, on YouTube. In November and December, we were, coming down to obviously the lows, and he had pointed out that, we were coming up to the end of the year. We were about to generate new yearly averages, and, making our way up to that would be pretty likely. For Bitcoin, that's 27K. For Ethereum, that's 2K, so on and so forth. Obviously, we're very close to some of those targets now. Most probably wouldn't have, expected or anticipated that at the end of the year or walking into this year, but here we are, right? For Solana, we are currently at $20. Yes, up substantially. Curious to see RSI for whatever reason. But if, a couple levels below us is you got the quarterly pivot I mentioned, 1855, you got the gold pocket, you got the point of control. But if you actually come through and start living above this region here, right, break out of this range, pretty conclusively, and actually break into the next one is the key. Is the one thing we haven't done yet is $27, right? If you've watched any of my Solana updates recently, it's all about $27. Get that reclaim of $27. That is your break into, not only you're breaking above your, holding your recent highs, which any breakout trader or trend line, enthusiast is going to look at that sense. Maybe there's reverse head and shoulders you could, squeeze out of this, whatever. Either way, you want to claim that value area low of that next range above us, right at $27. Okay. From here, you got a real big opportunity, not even opportunity, you got a big probability that we're going to run it to the gold pocket, this monthly level as well. There's a quarterly, not to say that that's untapped. You got a point of control, obviously is going to be our overall target short term, so up there at $40. So where we are now, that's 100% move. You got a weekly area here, which is more than anything, more or less a pit stop along the way. Then we've got the overall high, and then you see this red bar coming in right here. That's your yearly pivot. So that's the yearly average. Comes in at $65. So not only if you were, this is one of those times where a lot of depends on how and where we are in the market, but when you're looking at things at a certain area, it really depends on where you're at. Like, have you already been in this asset, whether you've been holding it from higher and you're just still in it, or did you enter it low, right? If you're already in, it's one of those things where the risk is obviously a little less as far as holding and trying to seek higher areas. If you're looking to enter, that's the question on, like, do you want to, get a little overzealous and, prematurely enter where we are? Do you want to hold for lower, or do you want to wait for the, confirmation of the reclaim, which is substantially higher than where we are, but you got a little bit better idea that, we're potentially going to be continuing upward as far as the trend would go. All that is up to you to decide. But for me, we're at $20. If you're in from lower, like I said, this is not a short term like leverage trade. This is a spot trade idea. I think we got a really decent chance of running it back to like $65 in the relatively near term, right? So that could be over the next couple months here. So just something to keep in mind. That really activates when we clear $27. So from where we are now, obviously that's potential like 200% move. And if Solana's moving like that, like I said, we were just looking at something else that had potential to move 100, 200%. I mean, you're going to see some big moves across the board. It's just going to be dependent on where you have mapped out to actually take profits. I think that's the biggest issue most have, is knowing when to consider paying yourself, whether or not that's the top or a top or whatever. It doesn't matter, right? One thing I always like to think about is that if, for example, Solana pushes up 200% and you get in and you got that 200%, you have to think to yourself that you didn't get in it, right? Like, how many times you watch a coin or a project go up 200, 300, 400%, 100%, whatever it is, and you weren't in it? You wish you were. And either way, you missed out on 200%, right? It's kind of like a weird mind game where you kind of have to trick yourself, and it just when you are in that coin and it goes up 200%, cash it out, right? Like just and you can either phase yourself to be the point where it's like, oh, you know what, pretend you weren't even in it or whatever the case is. But there's so many things where you're gonna miss. You already and this is the other thing. You've already missed so many opportunities, right? Like getting into Solana at $1 even, right? $1. When I started the trading group on Telegram, Solana was one of the first trades I even put out. That was probably like one of the most successful ones. And it was $1, the breakout of like December of 2020. $1 Solana. So even from there to now, obviously, like I said, we've seen rapid expansion. We've crashed heavily, but you also missed out on the $1 Solana. Even from where we are now, you missed out on the chain link. You missed out on whatever. So if that's the case, you just got to kind of like train yourself to just think that way, in the sense of being like almost like lucky, not lucky, but just take advantage of when you're up, I guess, is the biggest takeaway from that. All right. Do you think we hold 16 or drop lower before the push? 16. What do we think we hold 16? What was I looking at? That was at 16. By the dip, man. Crypto Face, that song that he has is very, I don't even know if it's his song or not, but he plays it all the time. It's called By the Dip, and it is spot on. If anybody hasn't heard it, treat yourself. Got round trip on H bar. Let's see what H bar. Oh, XRP. Somebody's looking at XRP too. XRP finally, no, did not. Okay. So XRP and Doge, I've been bringing up this idea for a little bit here, is that the two of them, I guess, like a few others, haven't really seen any, crazy. What is up? What do I have here? There you go. Oh. XRP was, once again, beautiful range rotation, right to the high. Took your recent highs, underway. This is a very similar situation right here. If you can see this highlighted on what we were just looking at on ETH, right? So you had your low mapped off right here. And what did we do? Right, you get the drop down, quick close back up above the level. Anybody shorting stopped out. I'm sorry, anybody longing stopped out, and then you get the move up, right? That's very, very similar to what I'm looking at on ETH right now. Although ETH, I just feel like is just perfect at the moment in that sense. Very similar to the upside as well. Come up, take the highs, pull back. XRP has been ranging for years at this point, but XRP trades very technical, believe it or not. I know many are just assuming that it's held down by the SEC and things of that nature, and XRP hasn't moved any more or less than Dogecoin has recently. And just to bring that into perspective, only because Doge is not sued by the SEC right now, it's just how these things go, right? You're going to have these periods of accumulation, consolidation, and then you get expansions, right? So when XRP finally does break, you got a yearly pivot up here, 51 cents, which is the old range high as well, right about 54. But from where we are right now, I mean, that's a pretty big move. And if you got a 40% move out of XRP, which all that would do is push you up to that yearly average, you can only imagine what the rumors on the street would be. Literally at the last range high, which we identified this in the group weeks before. It was to the nuts, I guess you could call it. 54 cents. Obviously, we swung it a little. 54 cents what we were targeting. When this target came into play, there were there were actual rumors that the SEC was dropping the lawsuit. That's what the news was, right? So one thing about our channel is like, obviously we'll touch on some news, just to appease people. But to me, the news is just excuse. Like the news is the excuse. I will never trust news. I'll never look to news. I'll never even pay attention to news ever again. Um, ever, pretty much ever since the Rona, right? So, um, back in 2018, I really heavily, studied the housing market. Which, if you're familiar with anything, about myself, my channel, whatever, you'll know that I have a really big theory on crypto and the housing market, and obviously all markets together, continuing, pretty harshly to the upside for the next 4 or 5 years here till about 2027, 2028, what have you. But in 2018, I was anticipating a really big black swan event, right? Before the term black swan event got popular. And the reason being is that there's 18 to 20 year cycles in the housing market, and there's always a mid tier crash initiated by a black swan event. And I've back tested that for 300 years. 300 years I've back tested it. The recipe is always the same. You get this initial run up, 7 to 10 years, you get a black swan event, you get 2 to 3 years of sideways consolidation. And at the end of that 2 to 3 years, you get high interest rates, high inflation. Everyone expects a recession. And then you get, I hate to use this term almost, but you get the most face melting melt up, in lack of better words, for 4 to 5 to 7 years, until you actually reach the top. So the last housing market cycle, started in 2011, right? So, and then, you know, 7 to 10 years, right? So in 7 years is what I was looking for. 2018 is when I was anticipating a pretty big, black swan event, a war or whatever the case was. If you remember, if you recall, which this is one thing that even current today, like when people really look around, everybody's so fearful. There's always the worry of a war. There's always the worry of whatever. There always has been the same worry. 2018, we had Trump arguing with North Korea. There was missiles launching day after day. There were, things that everybody was anticipating we were just going to, start getting clapped at, right? And obviously nothing happened. Uh, Obviously, like I said, the housing market is an average of 18 to 20 years. So, when I was looking at that 7 to 10 years, 2018 was when I was expecting that black swan event. It didn't happen for 2 more years. And what happened was Rona, right? So Rona comes in right in time. 2 years later, where are we? High inflation, high interest rates. Everybody expects a recession. And in theory, if we restarted the 20-year average housing market cycle in 2011, essentially you're talking about 2028, between 2027 to 2030, you'd have really the top coming in for the housing market. Personally, I think we're building out the very first 20-year cycle average for crypto. We're getting these 4-year cycles along the way. But yeah, so I brought all that up because of the news thing. So that's the one reason, we just, you don't need news. I know that the news makes everybody make sense of something, but it really is just the excuse. And if you try, like, I don't even know how anybody keeps up with the news. The news drives me crazy. When you look at shit that's going on, like you have literally a new acronym every single day: CPI, PCI, ECP. Like literally, there's a new acronym every single day that some random number came in. The market could literally go one way or the other. And it's like, oh, well, CPI came out today, it was terrible. Market actually pumped on it because, people are speculative that if I don't, like it just, it doesn't matter. Like the news is really just, I don't know. That's my rant on news. Anyways, I was going to look at something else. All right. H bar was, I think, one that we were going to take a peek at. All right, we ticked up a little here on TikTok. How's everybody doing? Kelvin said it's a 4-year cycle. Who's Kelvin? What's happening with XRP? Will it XPR or XRP? What is XPR? That's Proton or something? What's the next housing crash? So honestly, like if things play out, in my opinion, the way the housing market is always played out, unfortunately, I think the next time to buy a home, If you're not like realistically, it's right now, which I think that most people would disagree with, which uh, obviously probably adds more credence to the fact that it is the best time because you're on a pullback. I think that most people are waiting for lower on housing. I'm in Florida. It doesn't, not that that really matters, but here in Florida, even from last year, there's like a 40% pullback going on, even though, or even still, the home I'm even in. So I just went through a huge hurricane. Um, not that, once again, whether or not that holds value or brings it, but either way, like went through a huge hurricane. Half the places around here are jacked up. The place, that I have at the moment is worth $500,000 where, the person who bought this last, like got it for like probably 150 in 2018. It's worth $500,000 and it is nothing special, I can assure you. Um, so when I say that, like, most people are like, oh, things are still overvalued and they'll come down, which they might, whatever, like who truly knows. But yeah, the idea is that, we're right at that point where, everybody's expecting that recession. I mean, and it is very, very apparent. I mean, it's Uber drivers saying it. It's almost kind of shocking at how many, mainstream analysts even, and I don't say that in the sense of like, like a Kramer, like people who got a lot of other things really right, and they're even currently saying, oh, we're going to go recessions and this and that. So maybe we will, but I just find it hard to believe that when everybody, it's just like anything else. When everybody's in agreement, it's probably not going to work out that way. And to me, I've tested, like I said, I've back tested this several times, and for 300 years, and it's never failed. So uh, we'll see. But theoretically, at the end of this decade, we're going to be at the 100-year cycle anniversary of the Great Depression, which realistically should that'll probably what everything that everybody expects right now, the whatever the food shortage, whatever the case is, all that will probably come to fruition at the end of the decade, right? When you have all these chemical issues going, right? All these chemical spills, you know, you've had so many issues for years and years and years. And I think that when they happen, everybody assumes that, something's gonna get something's gonna grow from that tomorrow. Um, And in reality, I think it's going to be something that we look back on in 5 years and say, man, remember all those chemical spills in 2023? Oh, well, that created acid rain. That came down, that killed all our crops on top of, everything we had to shut down for Rona, years before that. And then you had all the supply chain issues and blah, 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 blah. And, 2030, 2028, 2020, all the things kind of line up in that time frame where things could get rough. So to answer that question on when the next time I buy a house would be, I'd probably say like, realistically it's going to be like 2035 if you're looking to get something at a discount. The question is, what's that discount going to look like? Is that discount just today's price? Because where we are today, if we explode in price, coming back down 40%, 50, 60%, is that just going to be where we are today? So, I don't know, speculation across the board, but potentially now is the best time, I guess, is the answer. But obviously you're at a risk of buying something that's inflated pretty heavily. All right, back to crypto. Uber drivers. I say that in the sense, like, nothing wrong with an Uber driver. Obviously, I'm just saying that in the sense of like, the joke where it's like if your barber is saying this, or if the bagger at Publix or your grocery store, like it's like the taxi driver, the Uber driver. When the Uber driver is expecting a recession, it's just something to consider. About the Bitcoin, what did you think is better for us if we take long or short? I haven't looked at Bitcoin in a bit, but we were looking at ETH earlier. We can take a look at Bitcoin. Let me look at H bar though, real quick for my boy OC Pet Doctor. Just money, like You know what I mean? I just money. Haven't updated this chart in probably since here, probably since around the lows, since December, I would say. Um, so yeah, you know, the area is still holding pretty relevant. We had a really nice run to the upside here. Obviously, we took we met these highs. Can't tell if you can see that over here or not. It's high up here. Our June high there, and back into the range to the point of control. So once again, perfect example. When you re-enter that range, you get the back test. What you're looking for is going to be that point of control. It's your natural target. Let's just see where our gold pocket puts us. Just below that, actually. And that's actually the range low as well. So, potentially we run, down to this region, but the point of control is obviously going to hold a really nice, it's going to offer up a bounce opportunity regardless. Potentially you don't make it to that gold pocket. So always something to think about. Could front run that region. Many traders look for that specifically. And to the upside, right, if you just turn around here, really be looking to claim at least 7 cents there. Let's actually look and see what our monthly is at the moment. Well, we got an untapped monthly pivot. All right, so untapped monthly pivot comes in right above the range high. So that is the line in the sand right now. So flip 7.7 cents, obviously far away from where we are. So whether you take the risk and, try to get in where we are now and run it up, it's up to you. Otherwise, if you don't and you miss it and you're waiting for some confirmation, it's way up there, but you will miss out on potentially 20% by the time we get up there, right? Potentially, you're going to put in a nice little head and shoulders looking pattern that many will start looking for. Otherwise, quarterly key level, pretty good ways away. And then the yearly pivot is around there too. 14 cents. Yep. Still remains the major target there. 125% from where we are now. Let's take a look at Ethereum one last time. We'll take a look at Bitcoin. I really haven't updated my Bitcoin chart. Magic and Max pretty much hold that down for me. But yeah, ETH, I personally, I took the long off of a previous week low. It's not too often that, I get to catch like a pretty decent trade live or cover it on a live stream here. But this was about as textbook as you get. So we obviously opened up the week, monthly open, monthly pivot, week open, or maybe the week open. Yeah. Week open is actually not there. I apologize. But big area right here, right? So this is our previous week range, rotated in full, right? Nice and clear up to that high. What on top of us having that, like the number one thing on Tuesday that I was talking about 1680 was not only was that the previous week high, this was also our November high, right? That once again has just provided us with trade after trade after trade for going on the better half of 2.5 months. So legit, once again, gold pocket, right? So we'll scoot this in. Moved to the upside, swing failure pattern at the time of November high, right? Where did we target after that? We targeted the monthly pivot. Where did we target after that? Back to the monthly high, take the high one more time. Now you had a gold pocket, right? Gold pocket, boom, takes it. Where are we going back to? Once again, November high, which is also our previous week value area high, right? Easy target at that point. Potential short opportunity obviously took place. And from there, we came down, we took the previous week low, and now we're in once again a long opportunity, right? So this is where, when you're looking at the price action, you obviously have to stack context and confluence along the way. But price is nowhere it hasn't been for the past 2 months. We're once again just super range bound. Granted, this has been a really big range, 20%. But there's so many opportunities to be had along the way. 2, 3, 4, 5% moves. Even if you're catching that every even if you're catching that once a week, you don't got to catch it every day. And that's the thing. I'm not saying that the average person is even going to be able to catch that, but from that gold pocket back to the November high, what was that time frame? Saturday to Wednesday. So a couple days you hold, right? You just have to have a game plan in place. From there, you're short. Definitely was a target right here, 1600. And then if you were honestly, like you could have completely got out at this point and then looked for literally the SFP of the previous week low. And that's the thing, like when it comes, I'm not gonna say like, oh, we know where the price is going or anybody knows where the price is going. You really do have to plan that reaction. And the game plan would have been short, rotate the range in full, whether you take it all out at this point, because this was a big target, monthly open, monthly pivot, and previous weekend, previous month val. Easy trade in that sense, clear stop loss to the upside, 5% move. And then if you were to cash out even at that point, now your next move is paying attention to this previous week low, right? And whether we either do exactly this where we sweep it, go back and close, which now you have a long opportunity, or if you were to come down and lose it, right? Say we just came down, ended up losing that previous week, get the back test. Well, that's a new short opportunity where even though you've missed out on this piece here in the short term, you got at least another move down to this weekly pivot. More than anything, you're going to come down and sweep this low, right? So that was the trade game plan, so to speak, on Ethereum. So right now, personally, I'm in a long. I'm looking for at least 1600 again. Looking for at least 1600. Get the reclaim. Previous week is also your daily open as well. You got open. Oh shit! Weekly open is also your pre. All right, so this is definitely a target. Not that it wasn't already, but you got previous week open. I'm sorry, previous week point of control. I'll even close this off here, right? So you're looking at 1640 ish. Point of control, weekly open, daily open, right? So this is a pretty big target to the upside. He is come back into this region. So in the short term, you got two TPs, right? If you're going to look at it like that. Long from the low right now, TP1 is going to be month open, TP2 is going to be your weekly open, which is just below daily. After that, we clear this region, we adjust. Clearing this November high is going to be the big one, especially if we do it this week, because once again, that is your weekly high. All right. I keep adding these dots. I was like, where is this shit coming from? When is this going to the moon? Probably 2025. We had to speculate. Carl Gallagher took exactly that short. Felt pretty good. Nice. Captain Pickles, my boy. Oh, you're Captain Pickles? And Carl Gallagher from Shameless? Dope. I've been wondering who Captain Pickles was. David put that song I was talking about in the YouTube chat. That's the name for sure. It's the Crown Chakra. Check that dude out on YouTube. Crown with a K, Chakra, Chakra. He does the Buy the Dip and all these like crypto songs. It's about crypto face and his like indicator, but the music's actually pretty good, and it's pretty entertaining. No, Carl, I know that you're from the group. I was just saying Carl Gallagher from Shameless too. I always thought that was your uh, what's it called? I thought that was your alias. All right. TP long ETH. So, like I said, I entered the long at the previous week low, right? So this is the 4-hour time frame. Zooming this in, we were looking for the SFP. So swing through pattern, meaning you basically sweep the lows, you come down, you take these low, and you close back above it. We did that on a 4-hour time frame, right? And look into, there we go. So on the 15-minute, you can see a little clearer, a little bit more on the reclaim here. I was looking to see if we would, come back down after this little push up and touch the 1556 region. Doesn't look like we will, right? And you go to the 5-minute, right? You just see basically where we came up, tagged it, we're on the way. So the major take profit in a short-term idea, short-term trade here is going to be back to 16. I would say 1600. I would front on this region. 1601 is the previous week val. You have 1605 is your monthly open. And then 60, yeah, so like 1601 to 1605 is stacked with some resistance coming up. That'd be a TP1. Your TP2 is going to be 1641. That is your weekly open, your daily open, and your previous week point of control. So those would be two areas there. After that, I'll just let it run. Stop loss and profit or break even at that point after you pulled the two TPs and see where you go. I mean, you can, obviously we've got the high at 1680. And you got the previous. I mean, it's up to you on that point. And obviously, like everything's up to you. That's just that's where I'll be taking at least two take profits. Don't judge my Bitcoin chart because I've not updated it at all. Been trying not to even bring it up. But yeah, weekly pivot, proved to be a money move there as far as a short would go. It's obviously been tapped, so take that. Blew right through that region. So yeah, let's take a look at the other biddy here. Where is my? Maybe you guys can see the labels. Take a look, see what biddy's looking like. So unlike Ethereum, Bitcoin has not swept that previous week low. So something to be aware of. Okay. Close those off. Yeah, that's your February low too. Yeah, interesting to see how Bitcoin reacts to this because, like I said, you got previous week low down here, basically 21.3. You've got previous month low, 21.3. Um, what else we got in this region here? What are we sitting on right now? All right. Only thing of major note that I can see is the developing quarter here. As far as not coming down to this low right here, which, like I said, that's your previous week low, that's your previous month low. Um, it's a big area to be looking for, honestly. Did basically just rotate the quarterly, however. So you got the developing quarter here, which we're in the last few weeks of building out. So this is dynamic, will change along the way. And yeah, I mean, basically rotated that, swung it, holding it pretty solid at the moment. So, you know, not as clean as a setup as Ethereum, in my opinion. Just looking at it quickly, like I said, I really haven't gone through and gotten to the nitty gritty on some good dirty details here on Bitcoin for as far as levels would go. But yeah, Magic and Max definitely have for sure. But yeah, the run to the pivot back to the vow, that's pretty interesting to note. Sorry for the TikTok stream there. Booty Cheeks, what's up? Love the name. Got a great trade. What did you trade? Short, long, schlong, both? No ascending trend line? No. Guess we can throw it on. We could probably make a what are the cheerleader xylophone looking, right? Is that what everybody's looking for these days? Damn, that actually gives us the target of the pivot, right? I'm assuming that's what you meant. But yeah, so the gold pocket obviously comes back down into this region here. That would obviously meet the what is it, CME gap that everybody's drooling over. Like I said, just it's hard to fathom that we'd go there now, just personally. And once again, doesn't mean that doesn't mean shit, in my opinion. But let's see here. What else do I got on here? Got the November high. Ooh, that was nice. Maybe we're going back there. That November high holds it true. And then you got the overall range. So see if it changed. Did not. I don't know what this is from. I think that's old. Get rid of it. Okay. So yeah, there's your range on Bitcoin right now. Just scoot this over. So at the moment, got our monthly pivot right at the overall range high. Gives a little bit, not only do you want to get out of this region regardless, that gives us a little bit more support if we do come up and flip this region, right? So you want to see basically that 23.5-ish flipped. What is it? 23. I'm sorry, 23.2. 23.22. Flip that into support. Obviously, we got our weekly pivot, but aside from that, we'd probably make our way up to this area here. We've got a perfect. Damn, this is actually almost too perfect. I'm actually going to put this on because you can't see because of my terrible format. We've come up to the highs here from summer. Come on, magnet, get up there. Get up there. Oh my God. The magnet annoys the shit out of me. All right, there we go. We're just going to draw it right over the top. Boom. All right, so highs from the summer, right? 15th of August. I mean, when when you're looking for short opportunities, obviously there's been a short-term short. I would imagine we're going to at least take the high, right? Like you're leaving too many people, too many people in comfort. What I mean by that is the same thing we just witnessed with Ethereum. We came up and we took that November high. We front ran it at first, then we came up and did this little French kiss, and then from there we just completely, tongue punched it right on Ethereum, and then you came down. So the fact that yearly pivot is actually so close, that'd be a pretty good tongue punch, right? Came up this region, shoot up, take that high, right? This high from last summer, and then potentially make our way down for a decent little short. Not saying short opportunities aren't there, obviously. Really depends on how you're trading. And this has been obviously a short opportunity. This is what, like 10% probably. Yeah, 12%, 13%. Yeah. To really want to get back above 23 and some change for some strange. And then, that's where we're looking. Otherwise, to the downside, I mean, it really is that gold pocket, CME gap, point of control comes in at 20,100. Those would be your devil levels. It's selling off in the wrong place. What is that, my friend? Let's see how our Ethereum long is doing. Getting there. One step at a time. Damn, that was oversold. Can't really see it on the stream, but yeah, ETH had a nasty setup, man. I kind of looking at Bitcoin, I kind of wish it had the same, but it's all good. We'll see how it plays out. For that reason alone, that's why when you come up, if we push up to 1,600, for example, you really have to be aware that Bitcoin has not taken that low, and potentially we head down. So doesn't matter what your game plan is. Everybody gets slapped in the nuts once in a while. So that's why TP1 has got to be here. 1602. I've been live for 90 minutes. What do you prefer, to take the high again instead of a range rotation? Yeah, I've had this weird, I think I got like bronchitis, man. I don't know what it is. It's been like 3 weeks. It keeps getting worse. Sounds like I went to an Avril Lavigne concert with Chick. All right. I think this is about where we're gonna finish it off, lads and ladies. Hope you all enjoyed the show. Anybody that's interested in joining the Leading Crypto Discord, the information is in my bio here on TikTok, obviously in the description box on YouTube as well. There's a free portion, there's a member portion. Very reactive and active in all of them. So feel free to join that. Otherwise, tune in for the next live stream, which will probably be Tuesday night. We will have our members only market update on Sunday evening. Myself, Magic Internet Money, and Magic. Myself, Magic Internet Money, Magic, Max, and Magic Internet Money. And they will be live tomorrow as well on Magic Internet Money's channel, 10 a.m. Eastern. Be sure to tune in for the Bitcoin update. If you would like to get a little bit more in-depth Bitcoin analysis similar to this, and in my opinion, better. So what do I prefer, to take the high again instead of the range? What are you talking about for Bitcoin? I mean, I would rather the range rotation for Bitcoin, but the only thing about it is I just don't know if we're going to get it, man. It's the biggest thing to me is that it would be not shocking because obviously, like at this point, you would imagine that we would come down to this region. I just feel like many are expecting it. So that's the only like main, like when you think of like when I'm thinking of a sentiment pulse, I suppose, which once again doesn't matter. And potentially we come down just to this like 20,200 area, that point of control. You don't get to the CME gap. Where is the CME gap at this point? I'd like to say it's like 1990 or something. Right here, right? Well, yeah, 19,995. It's the CME gap. Well, I suppose that's right at that point of control. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, that's definitely the probable target. All speculation and wants and ideas aside, that's definitely the current target right now. So then maybe it comes in. Either way, I'm in the ETH long, at least the 1600. So we'll see how that goes short term. Tune in for the results there. I'll be sure to post the results in the trading group, as always, in the money shots area. Yeah. Aside from that, everybody have a great afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are in this beautiful world. And until the next time, I suppose Kennel is going to the moon. And what else we got here for some parting words? Platform do I use? This is TradingView as far as charting would go. Bybit is my trading platform of choice. Just because, honestly, at this point, you got to flip a VPN on for any substantial trading platform. So if you're going to do it, you might as well go with Bybit. It's selling. I really don't know what you meant. Blocked 010101. Selling off the wrong way. I think we can still head up even with the liquidity below. Yeah. I mean, looking at Bitcoin, like I said, it's I would love for it to look a little bit more like Ethereum right now, but it doesn't matter. Like short term, we'll see how it's going to play out. It's, the overall targets still remain the same. Ethereum is 1989, Bitcoin, and that's all they are. They're just targets, right? They're not the end all be all. This is just a target at the moment. So, and you got 26,724. So, yeah, can we come down to whatever you just mentioned below 22? Absolutely. Like I said, you got the point of control down there. Do you have the CME gap? I would just be shook if we came and filled it right now. It's the only thing. but what do I fucking know? All right, everybody, have a nice night. I'll talk to you all later. I'm gonna go get some cough drops. Xcur. Yeah, Xcur's in the shitter. But actually has been doing okay. And Trias, because I know that's gonna be the next one somebody says. Moon hold. Let's take a look at Xcur. Why not? We'll send it off on the old Xcur. Yep, last update, right to the point of control. Still got the untapped monthly, 10 cents. Got a new monthly pivot here. See what our quarterly looks like. So yeah, major target obviously came in 0.995. Getting back into the developing quarterly range at the moment. Line in the sand for upside, clear 7 cents. Get back in this region. Still got the untapped monthly up here. See where the yearly comes in. Damn. Honestly, Xcur's got a Xcur could be one of those ones that just is that stupid pop. Well, scam wick is what many will call it. But several pretty big targets along the way here. But the one that is most interesting is obviously going to be that yearly pivot all the way back at $1.12. So that's obviously it's almost seems like a pipe dream, but that's a 20x. So we'll see if that comes through or not. Obviously, getting ahead of ourselves by a long shot, but that's what I'd be looking for. Otherwise, short term, just potentially getting back into this old range. You got a point of control all the way back down to like 3 cents. So do keep that in mind. But in the short term, flipping that 8 cents and holding it to start continuing upward. Xcur is the name of that. You lost 25K. You're very welcome. I'm sure you would have kept that anywhere else in the market. $250K is coming for sure. Work BTC. You are the man. Thank God for people like you for holding on to some dumb shit for 2 fucking years. All right, everybody. We will see you all in the next one. Have a great evening. And until then.